I wasn't able to take ballet as a child. We just really didn't have extra money for that. So in college, as a grad student, I decided I was going to do it. Ever since I was a child, I loved ballet. At that young age of 23, I couldn't even lift my leg up on the bar. Now I'm 71 and I can do it.
Tell your story, tell it loud. Tell your story, let it out. What broke in you can break the chain. What healed your heart can heal the world again. I saw the room grow still when I said my...
I thought this would be a great opportunity to get used to being behind the camera or in front of the camera.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, so.
Those are the best stories.
My story worth sipping is when I was 23 years old, I stepped into a ballet studio almost for the first time, but for the first time as an adult. Ever since I was a child, I loved ballet. I had a coloring book, and it was about a ballerina, and my favorite page was when Nadine received her bouquet at the end. And I don't know why I loved ballet. All I can think of is that maybe I had seen it on Ed Sullivan. He had Margot Fontaine. I don't think she was with Rudolf Nureyev, but maybe she was. Maybe, about the same time I saw the Beatles at Sullivan. And I loved both, the Beatles and ballet. And so I wasn't able to take ballet as a child. We just really didn't have extra money for that. And so in college, as a grad student, I decided I was going to do it. I'm a fine artist, and I loved the dancer as a subject, but I didn't want to paint sweet, saccharine dancers. I wanted to paint the strength within, and I wanted to understand what it felt like from the inside. I also wanted to understand the movements because I had seen so many works of art of dancers that were awkward, anatomically incorrect, and I wanted to stand out because I understood the body of the dancer from the perspective of a dancer. That moment in that classroom changed my life forever. At first, I felt awkward. At that young age of 23, I couldn't even lift my leg up on the bar. Now I'm 71 and I can do it. And I hope I can continue doing it for many years. Ballet continued to be a regular part of my life beyond graduation and beyond my many different hats that I wore in life, beyond owning a graphic design firm in which I did not practice as a fine artist for about 20 years. But I continued to take class and I continued to learn. There was a time early on that I imagined, I'll be the first 35-year-old prima ballerina, not really realizing that starting at 23 is already way too late. Ballet taught me patience. It taught me discipline. It taught me how to gain strength from my gentleness. And I used that in life. I used that as a graphic designer when the industry changed so much that instead of being a more overtly creative practice, that it involved a lot of production. In other words, typesetting, which I hadn't signed up for when I started my business. So the little nuances and measurements and the care and the articulation of type became something very important to me, and something I don't think I would have had the patience for unless I had begun studying dance like 20 years before that. So it gave me that patience. And that then rolled over into my fine art career. One of the moments that crossed my mind to talk about today was the moment that a friend of mine called me and said, "Would you be interested in taking a semi-private painting class with me? Because this artist won't do it just for one person." And I said yes. And so in the 90s, I began taking private lessons in painting, even though I already had a studio art degree. And that changed my life too. But again, the tedium of painting, realism painting, I'm not talking about Jackson Pollock painting. I'm talking about very delicate brush strokes, like a feather. I'm talking about getting a likeness, beyond a likeness, going to the soul of a person. And ballet gave me that too. Not only did it give me that, but then it gave me the courage to begin those beautiful paintings, those meaningful paintings based on dance that I had always wanted to do, that were in my mind. Being that I studied with the Salt Creek Ballet, I got to know some pretty talented professional dancers. And I got to know Trinity Hamilton, who was a Salt Creek dancer before she became a professional dancer with the Joffrey Ballet. And back in the 90s, I photographed Trinity at the Fine Arts Building, where I was studying with that artist. I continued studying with that artist for about 6 years. And we had the studio all to ourselves. And we even went out on the sidewalk in front of the auditorium to take pictures. Now, I took those pictures more than 25 years ago. And now that I've retired from full-time teaching, I finally have the chance to focus in and create the body of work that I've always wanted to create. And Trinity has become my life's work subject. So I'm going back to those pictures, those beautiful pictures of her interpreting the crazy things I was asking her to do look like the world is ending, you know? And she did it. She interpreted it because of her training. And so that's sort of the intersection of the moment that changed my life when I walked into that ballet class at Northern Illinois University, and the first time I really learned how to paint from Grace Cole at the Fine Arts Building in Chicago. And both of those things have made me the artist and the person that I am today. Thank you. I had a whole thing typed out. It was nothing like what I said today. Thank you. Thank you. It was fun.